Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
And we're back, Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. Yes, it is I, Steven Jotter, and welcome. Joining me as always, down south in Dallas, Texas, Armand Kafai. Armand, how we doing?
We're doing pretty good, man. I mean, it's a little bit of a blessing going on with school ending and, more time to dedicate to the beautiful game. So we're back. The month of April, for lack of a better word, was hell. But, I mean, after, fighting through a 20-page paper on how to predict goals in soccer, another 20-page paper on border security, exams, all that good stuff, I'm free and I'm feeling great. I'm loving it right now. I'm loving it.
Well, there you go. Follow him at Armand Kafai. Jake, are you still stuck in winter?
No. Nope, there is no more winter anymore. Up here. So we thought, although it did snow in the northern part of the state, I think a couple days ago. So I think I saw areas around Fargo got about 11 inches of snow. Duluth got 11 inches of snow a couple days ago. So
yeah, screw that. Follow Jake at Jake Watroba. He has some hot takes. Yes, follow myself at Steven Jodern. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to the podcast. Follow us at Unc Sam Soccer Pod. There you can get the latest news, information about the show, what we're going to be doing here over the course of summer. And on today's episode, we're going to focus strictly on MLS, give you our thoughts. And question of the day, guys, how interested have we been in MLS 2019? Listeners, make sure you if you feel free to answer that question, to send us your thoughts or comments at Unc Sam Soccer Pod. And Jake, it's been an hectic April for us. We haven't recorded much, but let's just talk about it. You had the Premier League title race, insane. Champions League comebacks left and right. You have the NHL playoffs. You have the NBA playoffs. You have all this stuff going on. How interested have you been in MLS 2019?
I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. I haven't been very interested at all, to be honest. Like you said, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball starting back up.
How can
we
I
had
forget
the Masters
about that?
At one point.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't forget about that.
Tiger came back. I mean, every weekend there was something that was just a little more important or just a little more newsworthy than what happened in MLS that weekend.
Right, and we can talk about this later in the show if you want to, but there aren't that many teams worth watching in this league right now either.
Oh, interesting. Armand, what about you? Obviously you cover FC Dallas, but let's take that journalist objectivity out of you and just from a fan perspective, let's take your bias towards FC Dallas away. If you are a neutral, do you think MLS has been captivating so far in 2019?
For lack of a better word, no. I'm watching a lot of the games, a lot of games on the back burner whenever I can. I mean, to be honest, I try to watch as much MLS as possible throughout the weeks. But, some of the games just aren't captivating, and I think that's a good word, captivating, because it's not necessarily the style of play that really captivates me as a whole, but a lot of times you see a game and atmosphere is lacking. It's kind of boring, kind of soft, nothing really going on. You can hear players yell on the field, etc. And it's just like, I'm trying to watch it. I'm trying really hard. But I mean, some games I just turn off halfway through. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm good. I want to watch him, or I can torture myself later. So, it's been tough. It's been a little tougher this year. I don't know why specifically this year, but it's been a little tougher.
Yeah, I feel like the last several years there's been excitement. And I'm beginning to wonder, now listeners, make sure you chime in. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Jake thinks there's not enough teams worth watching. Armand, do you pinpoint a specific reason why you think MLS has not been captivating enough?
I just don't think the quality of play is good enough.
Quality of
For
play.
lack of a better, I think there's very few teams that attempt and want to play entertaining football. As you see, LAFC, great fun team to watch. They play great entertaining football, but all these spending caps and all that stuff, you're kind of hampering the potential of a team that wants to play. And if they do want to play, can they play? I just think the quality has taken a little bit of a dip this year, especially when you lose Almiron, Tyler Adams, Alphonso Davies. I mean, this is a product of being a league that sells
Tata
stars.
Martino.
Martino. When you sell your stars and export your players, it's a product of it. Your quality of play is going to go down at some point. It's not going to go up, 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 up. You're going to have a dip. And I think this year we're starting to see a little bit of that dip.
So there you got two very valid arguments. Quality of play, not enough interesting teams. Those things overlap. Here's my big theory. It's become predictable. How often do we talk about, say, an expansion franchise entering the league, a big superstar coming? It seems every year we're doing the same motions over and over and over. And guess what, guys? MLS is only going to expand more. And we got Nashville, Miami, and then the two others. It's for the next 7 to 10 years. We'll be talking May 12th when we're recording about the expansion franchise, what players, the rumors. It's every year it's the same thing. Oh, how's the new team doing on the block? MLS 1.0s versus the newest. I mean, it's become predictable.
No, Steven, you're right. It is. And that's because parity. And I know there's a lot of people who think, oh, it's really great that, little old Columbus Crew has a chance to win the title every year.
Here we go. Why is it always Columbus with this show?
Okay, fine. Or little old Real Salt Lake. We'll do another small market team. That's all fine and dandy. But like Armand said, with these spending limitations, teams aren't able to kind of put their own stamp on the team they want because they're limited in how much they can spend. If a team wants to be a team that's on the front foot constantly and is high flying, attacking football, beautiful football, they really have to get every move right to be that or to build that roster. And with the type of money that this league allows its clubs to spend, you might get a club or two that can do that, but that's about it. We have to loosen the reins on what teams can spend in this league. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of crappy teams that are boring to watch, like Vancouver or like Orlando City or now. I mean, Atlanta United's boring to watch. Who wants to watch Atlanta United? And then granted, that's because of the manager. But there's just so many teams in this league that I don't find are worth a damn to watch. Sure, yeah. Wayne Rooney's cool. You get to watch Wayne Rooney. Like I saw DC United play a couple weeks ago in Minnesota. There was nothing about, and maybe this was more so what Minnesota did, but I watched them and I'm like, this team isn't that fun to watch. Like what?
I mean, Olsen Ball has never been that fun to watch. I mean, it's a pretty valid point.
But you can't just, like Steven's saying, you can't rely on expansion teams to come in this league because expansion teams have this surplus of money from the jump, so they can spend on all these players, and it can be fun and exciting, for the first season.
Unless you're FC Cincinnati
or Minnesota United, you can't just rely on that to just keep things interesting in your league for 2-3 years, and then the next wave of expansion comes through, and now we're gonna wait and see what David Beckham does with Miami, and that'll be fun and great for 3 years, and then
just wait for Messi to come in at 38 or Ronaldo if he ever wants to.
Parity is what is hindering this league. I don't care if Real Salt Lake has a chance to win the title or not. I don't give a rat's ass. Nobody should care.
I just care if they play. Fun attacking, or maybe not even attacking, just good, sound soccer.
I mean, let's be real. Let's be real here. Let's take the Premier League, okay? Let's see. If the Premier League was full of a bunch of teams that were like Burnley, and then you had a team that was somewhat good. Let's just say Wolverhampton. Would that be fun? Would that be fun to have a bunch of Burnleys and then a Wolverhampton as like the crown jewel of the league? Is that a fun league to watch? Well, because Burnley has a chance to win because they're playing 22 or 23 other Burnleys So that's fun, right? That's fun for everybody.
Jake,
no, it's not. It's
Jake,
bad. It's not
I'm
good.
Push back. Wait. I think here's the problem. We're talking about a bunch of teams that are really crappy. But if you were to take, say, the talent pool that's in the Champions League and distribute it across MLS, then you want parity. Then you'd be like, ooh, superstars left and right. Yeah, I think the Champions League gets a lot of crap, and I've crapped on it for the dominance of Spanish teams winning it year in and year out, or having so much success that they're in the semifinals. But the fact that the Champions League does have somewhat of a little bit of a turnover, quote-unquote parity, there's enough there to say, ooh, Ajax, Tottenham, Monaco. So if everybody in the league was as good as LAFC, and according to our very own Jake Watroba, it's the only team worth watching in the league. And he goes even further as saying that it's the only team that could compete in the championship, never mind the Premier League. Jake, you said you've watched a lot of crappy soccer in MLS, it seems like.
So I watched yesterday being Saturday morning, I watched Leeds and Derby, or whatever. Derby, sorry, I'm not British. Play leg one of the championship promotion playoff. It's so apparent to me just watching that one game how much more talented the teams that are slotted 7-6-5-4 or no 6-5-4-3 in the championship, how much better they are than damn near every single team in MLS. I'm not even sure if LAFC could compete for a promotion playoff spot in the championship, but I know for sure that a team like the New England Revolution are probably on the same level as a mid-table League Two club in the EFL.
Oof.
And that's not me picking on New England Revolution.
Yeah, we can take
a somewhat good team here. Let's take an okay team here. Who do you want to look at? Who do you want to talk about? Let's talk about Seattle Sounders. That's not a championship side. Are you kidding me?
You don't think it's a bottom level championship side? Like at all?
Maybe. But I bet they're probably on the same level as one of your upper echelon League One sides. So yeah, I guess you could say the bottom part of the championship. But like there aren't good teams in MLS. Like this is, if you want to watch comparable football to MLS, put on League One and watch, and it looks identical.
But
there is a lot of crap clubs in this league.
I think here's another difference. When you're watching the championship, you have fan engagement. The stadiums, at least the important clubs, the top clubs that are competing, where you have clubs 1 through 8, 9 that are competing for promotion for the championship, the fans are engaged. But Armand, you know more than anybody on this podcast that fans are just disengaged with their clubs. It is a small minority of this, apart from LAFC, but fans don't show up to games. The atmosphere sucks. You can hear the players scream on the field. Part of soccer, and a big chunk of it, were the fans. The fans had a big impact. Anfield was rocking. Talk about fans having an impact on the game. Liverpool, Barcelona, how they overturned that aggregate, the Reds, going to the Champions League final. But where in MLS can you say the fans have actually contributed to the team's success?
I mean, you could say there are, but I mean, it's all the more recent expansion teams, yeah. But I mean, you could obviously go Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, LAFC. I mean, we could go down a little bit of a list, but the problem is like what I saw this past weekend in Dallas. I saw, to be honest with you, just quite a disappointing showing from just people don't care for lack of a better word.
Why should they care though? Because the team doesn't.
Yeah,
care.
exactly. Well, exactly. Why, if a team isn't making an effort to be in that market and make a move and say, hey, look, like we're here, like market, all that stuff. What's the point? They even brought Dirk, arguably the greatest DFW, not arguably, the greatest DFW sports legend out there. And guess what? It was the low. I think it was the lowest. You have to fact check me on this. It's the lowest attended game all year. Like how? What? Oh, it's because rating. They didn't rain at all throughout the game. It's disappointing, and we're starting to see MLS address that. I mean, especially the Chicago Fire move, that they're about to be out of Bridgeview and go back to Soldier Field. These have to be addressed before MLS can grow. You gotta take care of the old guys before you can grow. Give them some Social Security or something. I don't know.
I like it. Listeners at Unc Sam Soccer Pod, we talked about quality of play, teams worth watching, the predictability, Jake's parody comment. But Armand, you've been peppering this topic for the last couple of weeks as we haven't been recording, but it's just been the coaching and the coaching turnaround in MLS.
I mean, we saw 3 coaches fired in 8 days. I mean, the Rapids fired Anthony Hudson after his win-loss draws. He went 8-26-9. They replaced him with Connor Casey, who's followed up with 2 straight losses. FC Cincinnati.
That's great.
Fired Alan Koch after 11 games, and he went 2-7-2, and he was replaced by Johan Dammit, who's a 29-year-old, and who many have characterized him as the guy who was actually coaching the team relative to Alan Koch. He just defeated Montreal 2-1 in his debut, and then the Revolution.
Hold on, wait. Time out. So they fired the coach. FC Cincinnati fired the coach and replaced him with the coach who was, or enacting the coach when the coach was there. So they basically got the same guy, just with a different voice and a different title.
Just with the title.
What's the point of that?
Well, no, but Alan Koch was the guy. If that makes any sense. Like, he was making tackles on the pitch during the games. He was the main guy. Dom has a different ideology, a different style. We saw that in their game against Montreal. The common thing between all 3 of these guys, and the last one, which is Brad Friedel finally getting fired after going 12, 21, and 13, is that all these guys have thrown their players underneath the bus and said, yeah, we're competing with trash players, basically. Obviously not word for word. Anthony Hudson came out and said, yeah, we're competing with bottom-level players for the bottom of the league. Alan Koch said, yeah, we need better players. And Brad Friedel said that players in MLS face no pressure. Yeah, we talked about that. MLS coaches are having some pressure. I mean, damn, this is what? Match week 11, 10, and there's 3 coaches already sacked. The quality of play needs to increase, but these guys are just terrible hires, and they're hires by teams, and they're kind of just lazy. Colorado, Stan Kroenke, does he care about the Rapids? Bob Kraft, Jonathan Kraft. I know you love them, Steven, and you'd you give them a lot, but do they care about the Revolution to where they kept this guy, Brad Friedel, after all he's said and done? And for Cincinnati and Alan Koch, a guy who's been underachieving, it's just a lazy hire. And look, I'll put this down on the little bet thing or the prediction sheet that we have. It's going to be the same thing with Gary Smith in Nashville. Gary Smith, he won 2010 MLS Cup with Colorado Rapids. He plays very, very 1.0 MLS soccer. They're gonna sack him because he's not gonna be ambitious enough, and he's not gonna be playing good. And he's underachieving with the Nashville team in the USL. Like, come on, man! All these guys are getting fired. Guys, do you think there's maybe a little bit of pressure on coaches? I mean, unlike what Brad Friedel's saying, there's no pressure in MLS.
No, there's absolutely pressure on coaches, but let's be honest here: the players are not the best on these teams. Can we at least admit that? Now, throwing players on the bus is stupid. It's the quickest way to get out of town.
Here's my thing. I think FC Cincinnati is the outlier here. More specifically, Alan Koch. Anthony Hudson and Brad Friedel, those 2 teams were awful. Do either one of you think the Colorado Rapids or the New England Revolution, after firing their managers, have any chance of being a respectable club in MLS this season?
I had the Rapids labeled as interesting because of the offseason acquisitions, and I think they're an interesting spot for a coach to potentially go into. But no, I don't think at all. I don't think so. I think they're going to be pretty bad at the rest of the year.
Look, man, here's the thing. Firing Anthony Hudson and firing Brad Friedel was the lazy solution for these ownership groups. The lazy solution to their problems. The problem with Colorado Rapids and the problem with the New England Revolution are the ownership groups. That's it. Both these teams suck. They don't have good players. They don't have any quality on these two sides. Is there pressure for MLS coaches? Yeah, I guess probably. This was just a lazy solution to an overarching problem with these two clubs, which is their ownership suck, and they don't know. When they hear we don't have good enough players to compete with an MLS, and when they hear these players aren't good enough, they're not in the pressure cooker of like a relegation battle that Brad Friedel suggested. What did Bob Kraft and what do Stan Kroenke do to solve that? Well, I'm going to find somebody who can take these crap players, take these cheap players, these players that we found at the bottom of the barrel in the bargain bin at your local Walmart. I'm going to see if I can find somebody who can make them better, because damn knows, God knows I'm not going to spend money on this team to make them better. That's just my 2 cents.
Do you think that's a problem, Jake? Like that's MLS is like, how MLS has like part of that problem with the originals kind of struggling and all that. You think another part of it, like I guess hand in hand with that, is also the ownerships as well.
I think there are
that they're holding back the league.
Groups. Well, I think these two clubs, Colorado Rapids and New England Revolution, are holding back the league. I think FC Dallas is holding back the league. I think Chicago Fire is holding back the league. While I think
holding them back the league from what, Jake? It's not deterring LAFC, Atlanta from doing what they want to do, and players are not going to go to these crappy teams.
Steven, we get it. You jump in front of the bus for Bob Kraft.
I'm not talking
There's
about
no
Bob
reason
Kraft.
why this New England Revolution team should be good constantly. They're in the Boston market. They should have no problems being a competitive team. Dallas should have no problems attracting
Jake, but that's not my
Dallas.
argument. I don't. How are they holding back the league? How are they? If somehow
these are prominent markets that should be competitive on a consistent basis.
Okay, Boston, you're completely right. Boston, completely right.
They struggle in attendance. All three of these teams.
Chicago?
New England, Dallas, and Chicago. Dallas, too, and New England. They all struggle in attendance.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. You're not wrong.
They're holding back the league. There's no reason that...
But I genuinely don't think people are looking overseas and like, ooh, what are the New England Revolution? No, they're not going to care. It's the same thing with us with the championship. We look at the top 10 in the league, and that's it. People pay attention to L.A., the Atlantas, Seattles, Torontos, the names. New England doesn't have a name. Chicago, maybe, just because it's a huge city.
Well, New England isn't a city. It's a region in the country.
Yeah, but how many people outside of America understand that?
I think that can be explained to people that this represents a region, and you're more specifically going to be close to the Boston market.
You're not wrong. The Boston market is a good soccer market. I'm on board with you. Robert Kraft and Jonathan Krause have screwed over the Revolution. No doubt. I'm not going to sit here and tell you there's some great super owners, but they are very important to the league, and there's a certain reason why the league protects them.
I'm sick and tired of the excuse that they're important thing, and I get it.
Armand, soccer writers will not criticize them. Why?
They have been, though.
Yeah, but it's under the radar.
Dan Stejskal just wrote an article for The Athletic earlier this week outlining how the Crafts are the reason the New England Revolution are so bad this year, not Brad Friedel.
And he did that with Colorado like a week before. Just unloading. Like, people do criticize these guys.
Yeah, but here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Outside of those fan bases, maybe a couple of MLS fanboys, quite frankly, a lot of people just don't care. People in New England, what do they want? Make sure the Patriots are good. NFL fans do not care about...
That's the problem.
But yeah, no, but this is a countrywide issue. That there's not enough pressure on front offices to... I mean, for God's sakes, I don't know what happened in L.A. at Staples Centers, but there was a protest with the Lakers organization. You two can fill me in on what the hell happened there. But I saw the headline. When's the last time they said, you know what, MLS, we're going to boycott. Until we see change, no one go to a game. You have to directly...
Well, there has been a boycott. No one goes to the games. No one goes to the games.
Yeah, but Armand, here's the thing. This expansion is just... They're still making... Somehow they're okay with that. The front offices are okay with that. Dallas, they're okay with it. Same with Colorado. New England, these three clubs, the front offices are okay with no one going to the game. It does not bother them one single bit. And unless the fans that go there regularly realize that, then they should just boycott. I promise you, what it would do to the league if there was a game and not a single fan showed up. That would get worldwide attention.
Have you seen a Chicago Fire game recently?
Have you seen a couple of Revs games recently?
Well, the Revs games this past weekend was more full than you think.
You should have wondered had 8,000 announced. That was terrible.
I mean, this is all correlating to the fact that MLS on TV is just not growing. And we're citing World Soccer Talk. Yes, they have their bias, but headline from Christopher Harris, MLS fails to close TV ratings gap with the Premier League and Liga MX. Now, quote, as the popularity of Liga MX and the Premier League continue to grow in the United States, based on the way both leagues monopolize the most watched games on U.S. TV each week, MLS is getting left behind. At World Soccer Talk, we analyzed all the TV ratings data from 2018 to see how the three most popular soccer leagues performed. We went ahead and made it a direct comparison, only including the TV viewing numbers for the length of the MLS season to see how they did head-to-head. And guys, I mean, Premier League since 2016 has grown 69%.
Nice.
Liga MX, 46%, another very good number. MLS, guess what they're sitting at?
20%.
2.
8 flipping percent. Tell me, and we're going to close on the show like this. Armand, tell me why anybody would be interested in spending $150 million, $200 million on an expansion fee and then have to build a $200 million plus stadium. You're investing $500 million pretty much from the get-go into a league that's grown 8% on TV viewing since 2016, while the Premier League and Liga MX is surging.
Me, Steven. Don't ask me.
No, but seriously, what is the logic? Tell me why an ownership sits there. Guys, I'm going to lead a team to the MLS. I mean, could you imagine if this was some sort of, I don't know, auto dealership? If this was Ferrari, Lamborghini, and the other one was like Yugos, whatever brand that is. And you're like, yeah, let's invest in that one. It grows 8% in the course over the course of 2 years.
Let me try to answer this then for you the most logical way I can. The only way that would make sense in my mind why they would invest in it. Yes, it has been only 8% in the last 2 years, but if you were an owner and you look around and you say the Premier League's growing, Liga MX is growing, soccer in general in this country is growing, MLS will eventually have a larger slice of that pie in 5 or 10 years down the road here. So I'm going to invest now while it's still relatively cheap compared to buying an NBA franchise or an NFL franchise. Buy in now, and I'll reap the benefits of that 10 years down the road.
Jake,
that's
we've been saying that for 15 flipping years. It's the next big thing. MLS is on the rise. Soccer's on the rise. Yeah, okay, we get it.
Playing the long game.
Yeah, playing the long game. And it's a very, very long game. Anyway, listeners, we're back. A little spicy show.
We're back.
A little bit rusty there. At Armand Kafai, get the latest FC Dallas coverage at Armand Kafai. At Jake Watroba with the hot takes. Follows your truly at Steven Jodren. And for the show account at Unc Sam Soccer Pod, we want to hear your thoughts. Remember, question of the day. How interested have you been in MLS 2019? And give us a reason why or why not. Until tomorrow.